Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. The Greyhawk Wars made a lot of changes to the lands of Iuz, and I want to talk about what to do about that today on Greyhawk Ragnar. So the Greyhawk Wars changed a lot of the stuff that was going on in the Flanaess in the Gold Box era in 576. And you know, a lot of people have covered this territory. I'm not going to cover it again here in any detail, but I am going to focus a little bit on Iuz. And Iuz is really what we're talking about here. So Iuz started up here, right? And during the wars, he managed to conquer all of this territory. All of this is his conquest. And his allies have conquered in here as well. So he's basically got this whole swath of territory under his control at the end of the Greyhawk Wars and into the 590, into the 591 era. And to my mind, having this big looming Empire of Evil up there really distorts what makes Greyhawk really good in the sense of its balance. And we've got, you've got Valuna and Furiandi, and you've got Nyrond and Ernst there to kind of counterbalance it, but it doesn't really feel really balanced. And I like the idea of balance in Greyhawk. So from my point of view, I'm exploring options to kind of push back the borders of Iuz's empire. And how the PCs might play into this in a campaign, and basically trying to get things to kind of not completely reset, because I like the idea of the Great Kingdom being fractured. I like some of the ideas that they had with the Scarlet Brotherhood, although I think they did work better, kind of always being behind the scenes. It's not too bad having them shadow puppets of some of the nations and so forth. Um, but it's really Iuz, this having this big empire all in here, that I'm aiming to fix. And um, the reason I say fix is because, as I said, we started off in 576 in a state of balance. There was this constant tension between good and evil. Good was ascendant in some places, evil was ascendant in other places, and you felt this nice sense of dynamic tension that maintained the balance, and that works very well with the theme that you get in a lot of Gary's writings about Greyhawk, where there are forces that are actively promoting balance, and you get that a lot in the Gore the Rogue books. It's hinted at in some of the other works. Um, so I like that, and I want to return to that kind of idea. And to do that, I need to get rid of this huge Empire of Iuz here. And there's a couple of ways to do this. First of all, in the expedition to the ruins of Greyhawk, um, they have a very very convoluted plot that at one point sees Iuz or Iuz, as I think it's actually supposed to be pronounced. But I've seen seen claims that Gary pronounced it both ways. So I'm going to keep going with Iuz until I see something otherwise. Um, that Iuz was recaptured into Zagieg's God Trap underneath the castle dungeons, and in the published adventure, he's only in there for a short while, and then he escapes again and returns to Baraka. Uh, but if you wanted to, you could say, if you as long as you haven't play your characters haven't played through the module, um, then you could just have Iuz recaptured by Igwil's simulacrum, and well, spoilers, and and um, and just have the power vacuum occur again. And when that happens, if that happens, then you're going to see Iuz's empire basically break apart into a lot of constituent parts because he's assigned, overlords and governors and things like that to various parts of his empire, and they would basically take over in his absence. So you would have it wouldn't look like it did in 576. The borders would be all changed and so forth. But you would have basically a situation in the north of the near dive where you had an assortment of smaller evil realms. You could see um, uh, the Horn Society come back into power in their former lands. They might actually be bigger now. You'd see humanoid bands taking over large swaths of territory, like we saw in the Bone March and the Pomarge. Um, the bandit kingdoms would reassert their independence. You might see various warlords and maybe even demons taking over little small bits of territory in there. So you'd basically have a larger bandit kingdoms, across most of that area. And I like that idea. And then you might even, as things progress, as we're heading into the year 600 Common Year or 601, you might see. More consolidation of stuff like that. But it would really shake things up, and it would allow you to have this very dynamic area north of the near dive, and you could use that for all kinds of different adventuring stuff. Another possibility is to have Iuz suffer an enormous defeat, but not actually be removed from the scene. So, for example, you could have Iuz, you could have the forces of Furiondi and uh, Jesus, Valuna. Excuse me, I'm having to look back at my map because I'm having an aneurysm here. Um, you could have them have a very significant military victory that causes Ayuz to withdraw his forces to stave off a full-blown invasion. Something like that. You could have maybe the nomads be involved and come down from the north, so Ayuz's armies are stretched thin in different directions, and then he would lose his grip over a lot of the territory that he had conquered. Because we already know that the forces of Stonefist want to leave the Duchy of Ten and go back to where they came from, and that would leave a power vacuum there because Ayuz doesn't directly control that, but if the Stoneholders had parted, there's really no telling because you would have different factions. You'd have one faction from the Pale wanting to go in there. You'd have another faction from the Duke who was in exile. He would want to reassert his primacy over the land. You have other things going on there, so that would be also a very dynamic situation, not directly in the control of Ayuz's forces. So there's a lot of ways you can do that. Militarily, you could have a quest from the PCs to maybe infiltrate Doraka. You could use some of the stuff from City of Skulls, the very fine module where the PCs have to go in and infiltrate the city into a prison and so forth. You could use that same module, change it up a bit, and have the PCs going in there, maybe to stir up trouble, maybe to uh, have one of Ayuz's lieutenants wants to take over himself, so they would be in there to help that happen, and then there'd be a civil war. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you could arrange to have Ayuz knocked down without being completely destroyed or imprisoned. So that'd be another option where something weakens the PCs enormously. I'm sorry, something weakens Ayuz enormously. This would be a great way for the PCs to get involved. Maybe there's some sort of artifact that you could steal. Maybe Igwilv gets involved and wants to reassert herself in Earth, and this causes a problem with Ayuz because she wants to have her cut of the power and he doesn't want to share. So there's a fight between them. There's a whole bunch of different ways you could play that to see Ayuz knocked down without being completely defeated. So and like I say, the end effect would be that you would have basically a large section of tiny evil or at least chaotic lands up there, which you could really turn into an adventuring area for a lot of good things. So, anyway, those are my thoughts on what on fixing the Iuz problem. I think not having I think having that overwhelming evil empire in the north really hurts the idea of balance in the Flanaess, and something has to be done about it. Whether or not that something is taking Iuz out of the picture entirely for a while, or just knocking him back on his heels to maybe the original lands of Iuz and the Horn Society, and letting the rest go. So, anyway, hope you like this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you've done anything like this in your own campaign. How did you have things play out with Iuz in your game? I know a lot of people don't use the wars at all, so this is not for you. But for the rest of you, I'd love to hear what you thought. What you thought about this. So, hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all later.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.